It's Bowl and Breffix, baby.
It's motherfucking Bowl and Breffix, the podcast.
Welcome to the Bowl and Breffix podcast. My name is Jordyn, and I'll be your guide today. Today I have one of my best friends in the whole universe gracing us with our presence here today, Kris Zelnick.
Hello, everybody.
AKA Crybaby. Tell
Crybaby.
me about Nailed by Crybaby.
Nailed by Crybaby was born out of stay-at-home motherhood and not having a creative outlet that was just for me. There's only so many macaroni necklaces you can make.
Right.
And Gel X nails got really popular during the pandemic because people couldn't go to the nail salon.
Yeah.
And so it was all over my TikTok. And I was like, I want to try this. This seems fun and frivolous and something that couldn't possibly be for anyone else but me.
Yeah.
And I bought a nail salon's worth of stuff and then decided, hey, it would be fun to make nails for other people. So that's when I started doing it. And you were my first client ever. Yes.
Wait till you see. I'll reveal my Gemini nails later that I got for my birthday. I'm obsessed. You took the piece of inspiration that I gave you and just exploded it
I love it.
all over the universe. I'm obsessed. Your skills have just they started out so amazing. Not to say that like they've improved, because you just started out at such a high level of like precision and creativity. Like your nails are insane.
Thank you.
It's only gonna go up from here, baby.
I'm so excited.
She gave me such an official little kit. It's got a beautiful little box with some glue and some tools. Like, you're not playing around.
No, I want to set you up for success. You know?
Get them tips.
Yes.
Get them tips popping.
Handmade press-ons are nice because they're reusable if you remove them the right way. And also they're thicker, so they last longer. If you put them on the right way, they can last for a month.
People are going to be mind blown when I tell them they're press-ons.
Well, they're hand-painted, so they look like a manicure, you know? It's pretty nice.
They're so awesome. And so tell everyone where they can find Nailed by Crybaby Nails.
You can DM me on Instagram at Nailed by Crybaby.
I believe there's some dots in there, right? Nailed dot by dot.
You're right. There is. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's
Nailed dot
people
by
need-
dot crybaby on Instagram. DM me. Tell me what you need. I will make all of your dreams come true.
Stop playing around with your fingertips.
Yeah.
Get serious.
Get serious. Get exciting.
Why Crybaby?
Because that's what I was called a lot growing up. Very emotional, little Pisces over here. And I got it tattooed on my neck last summer.
Reveal.
And
Feel free to zoom in if you'd like.
yes, it's very...
Do it in post.
Ooh.
Chris, zoom in on that. Riley, pull up a neck tattoo. Pull up Chris's neck tattoo.
Yes. And it was kind of like owning being a crybaby, that it's not a negative thing, you know? Also, I think it's cute, Crybaby.
Yeah.
It's a cute name, and it is something that I think is memorable to most people.
It fits you really well.
Thank you.
It's yeah. That's another twin tattoo thing that we have, because we've both co-opted something that we've been called, I'm sure, by our families, and I have this homemade brat tattoo on my leg. Because I have the, branding of an ungrateful.
The black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that your nail expertise was born of stay-at-home motherhood. You've been a mother for quite some time. Tell me about being a young mom and how motherhood has changed you as a person.
Well, my oldest is 12. Whew. So I got pregnant with them when I was 21, and I was not ready to be a parent. It was not a planned pregnancy. But I don't know, I had a feeling about that little worm inside my uterus, and I wanted to keep that worm. So I kept that worm that grew up into my eldest. And so right off the bat, becoming a parent when you're not prepared there was a lot of like fast track growth, very, very painful, like internal shedding of some layers of maybe narcissism and selfishness, and lots of like tears shed in bed with my newborn at like 11 at night, just like being lonely, like wanting to be out with my friends, and
in
like
your early 20s.
But settling in, like just crying and letting those things kind of be there, while also knowing that I'm not going to act on those things. But I wanted to be a mom. Let me just say that. I wanted to be a mom eventually. So it wasn't that big of a shift. I was raised in a culture that's very like gender norms. Like I was raised to be a wife and a mom.
Is that a Staten Island thing?
It is a Staten Island thing. At least
Kris is from Staten Island.
I'm from Staten Island, New York. Staten.
Represent.
So, yeah, just being a mom, let's see how it changed me. Let me think. Well, having children has made it easier for me to keep people who I don't want close to me out of my life. Some may call it hypervigilance, and some may say that's a trauma response, but it's actually, it is, but it's also nice that I can do that for my inner child. Because I think growing up, my mom did the best she could, but didn't do the best for me, and let some people in my life that I didn't really need around, because she didn't want to offend them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like for other people's comfortability and not mine.
Her priorities were skewed.
Yeah, just I think out of fear of like people not liking her, Like everyone, my mom passed away, we know this, 10 years ago from cancer. So when people talk about my mom, they're like, she was an angel, like she, when she walked into a room, it lit up, which is like, I think what a lot of people say about dead people, but I think my mom really wanted to be seen as a good person, And I think unknowingly that damaged me, because she let people around who were just like silly people.
It's good that it sounds like, as you're talking about it, that you have some compassion for that part of her where it's like, oh, she had this emptiness to fill with people's opinion of her.
Yeah. Well, I realize now, after being in therapy and also just growing older and being a mother, that, I have the same desire. And I think that worrying about what people thought about you is a very human thing. I think we all have that to some degree. But in Staten Island, you're growing up on an island. The community is very small, and everyone seems to be kind of connected, and you just want to appear as though you have everything together. My mom really wanted to appear that way. And I care a little bit less than my mom does about that. And I think my opinion of having it together looks very different from what she believed it to be,
Well, it seems like you also have more self-awareness than she did around this neurotic desire to have, because we all have that. I was thinking last night, I was like, wow, I finally got my life to a place where like it looks good from the outside. For a 31-year-old, like I'm doing societally well.
Yeah.
And it immediately caused an awareness in me where I was like, holy shit.
I know, right?
I just really like got off on the fact that my life looks good from the outside.
Yeah, it does feel good. I think it's okay. I think that's okay.
It's
okay.
it's a barrier. It's like,
Yeah.
cool, everything looks good out here. I can exist safely in here and be
Mhm.
comfy and take my time
Mhm.
making it feel good on the inside.
Mhm.
I'm going to grab this door. Do you think your mom had any level of self-awareness of the distance between what things were actually like and what things looked like on the inside?
Yeah, I think she did. I think my mom was a workaholic and also an alcoholic and maybe a love addict. I don't know. She's not here to tell us, so I don't want to diagnose. But yeah, I think she went through a 12-step program and got sober 2 years before she passed away. So, and she did the steps in that program, which I think does bring a level of self-awareness into your life. And I think there was a marked change in her, a softness, you know?
Did she make amends to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she made amends to me. But I've had, everyone in my family make a couple amends to me. So,
Sounds like that
couple times.
didn't really work or wasn't good enough.
Or just, every time that they go out, they feel like they need to come back and make an amends. My mom only made an amends to me once.
What was that like?
It's interesting. Before she got to the point where she needed to make amends, she was telling me when I got shipped home because I was pregnant back to Staten Island. I was living in Philadelphia. And she was telling me to do something or how to do something or how to be. And I looked at her and I said, you don't remember the things that you did and said to me when you were blackout drunk, but I do. You lost the privilege of being my mom a long time ago. You don't get to tell me what to do anymore. Is that going to be a problem with me living with you? She said, no. I said, okay. So we can get back there, but we're not there right now.
That's a level of realness that not a lot of parent and children.
Yeah, well, when your mom's blackout drunk and screaming at you that you were a waste of time and she regrets having you and just the cruelest shit ever. Scorpio moms, shout out. I think that does bring a level of realness to the conversation. My mom really let it all hang out. And I do think parents at times probably feel resentful towards their children, and I'm sure that my mom had me out of some responsibility. Not that she didn't want to be a mother, but the expectation, you get married, you have children, and I think my mom sacrificed a lot of herself to be a good mom, whatever she thought that was, and so that breeds resentment. I think a lot of moms from our generation, Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, you identify with that?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Makes me want to cry.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is something I do not do, hence Nailed by Crybaby on Instagram.
Having compassion for them is so important. It's so relieving because it's yeah, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Just having that compassion for her.
Today it's easy, but who's to say that later on today I'm not going to be pissed at her again, That's my mom. So one thing that I recognize is my feelings towards her are always going to be childlike, and they should be because I'm her child, So there will be moodiness that comes with my feelings towards her, Yeah, but I think overall I have a lot of compassion for my mom, and I think it's just easier to live with the belief that she was really doing the best she could, regardless of if I think that was a good job or not.
Good enough, right?
Yeah. That's okay, You gotta, I forgive her because I need to be free of that pain and that trauma,
I've asked you a lot. I've asked you this a good few times, I feel. But do you think that it's easier to heal from her now that she's no longer around?
Yeah, for sure. She's not doing anything to piss me off now.
Right. There's nothing compounding.
There's an end to her existence in my life, which is painful in one sense. Lots of like life milestones were less fun without her there. But all I have is like our history to heal from, not our present, right? So I have the grief of the loss, but I also have the ability to like heal without her adding to it. I'm healing alone versus healing with her, you know, which I think some people do even if their parents are alive. They go no contact, which is also super valid. And I have gone no contact with other family members, you know. It's very similar. You grieve that too, you know, you grieve that person too, even if they're still alive. You're just not talking to them.
For anyone out there who, what would you say to anyone who has gone no contact with a toxic family member and is dealing with that guilt that usually comes? Because as much as you know that it's a healthy choice to make, there is sometimes
there's like
guilt there.
Well, okay, so this is just what works for me. So I'm going to put that out there. I'm not an expert. But I know that I was raised with a certain level of responsibility that wasn't mine because I was a child, but I was parentified, you know? So like there's guilt because I'm not in contact with certain members of my family. They're all older than me. And this is something, so this kind of ties back into motherhood for me. At the end of the day, I love my kids more than I love anyone else. And I also take my responsibility as their mother very seriously. It's the most important thing I'll ever do. So if someone is unsafe for me, they're not safe for my kids. And so that makes it a lot easier because I'm like, well, this is for their benefit. But I think on a personal level, I just have gotten to the point where if I'm going to cut someone out, it's really because I know that I'm healthier without them. And so I'll visualize little Kris, teen Kris, who dealt with like the bulk of the alcoholism and trauma, and just be like, you deserve better. So I'm just going to keep this person away from you. The adults in your life couldn't do that, but I'm going to do that, you know? And I let the guilt exist. I let it hang out. If you ignore it or you inflate it, it'll be there longer.
Persists.
Yeah. So you just got to be like, okay, that's okay. I miss them too, you know? Or I miss what could be.
But yeah, this is not a safe person for little Kris.
Mm-mm.
And I'm sure that having outward children also just makes some prioritizing easier, where it's like, oh yeah, no, you're not going to be around my kid, period. Like,
yeah,
kind of takes the guesswork and the struggle out of it.
Yes, makes it much easier.
So I'm going to go into our next scenario. You are raising a non-binary child.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel in the climate of 2023? And like, what would you say to any other parents who are raising a child who may be questioning their gender situation?
Oh, my little NB baby. So far just one, but my other two are very little, so we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm not an expert, but I am a parent of a child, and so I've done research. I listen to podcasts. I follow non-binary people on Instagram. Those are things that I was doing already, but I continue to do that just to be a part of the community more and support the community more via social media. And it doesn't feel fun right now, although I am very grateful that I currently live in a very liberal city and in a state that I feel is, you know, capable of protecting my child. It's painful and really scary. it's also hard because my kid's older and is somewhat aware of what's going on and is aware of the news. And, you know, we're coming
kind
up
of
on
in some ways a really great time and in some ways a really awful time with all these legislations and
right. So it's coming up on an election year. So you know, 10 years ago it was very like homophobic, right? That was like the thing that Republicans were putting their hat on and going to make this a big deal. And now it's trans rights. I feel like during election years, there's a lot of like frothing up their base, right? And so a lot of hateful stuff is going to come out. A lot of like, you know, whatever, jargon and things that lies basically that they're making up about trans people.
To really polarize people and get
to get the votes. And I don't even believe that some of these politicians believe the things that they say, or, you know, the talking heads on Fox News believe it. But
I mean, look at what Tucker Carlson.
Oh, yeah.
Did you read like what Tucker? He hates Fox News. He hates Donald Trump. Like
he does.
These people don't really like.
No, they're doing it for a paycheck.
What'd you say yesterday? I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. They're like the opposite.
They're the opposite of that.
I'm like
For
false
sure.
with this.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably one of the best grifts ever to be like a talking head for right-wing politics, because all you say is hateful stuff and you get big money because you're putting your face with all of these hateful things, you know, so you got to be paid the buku cash to do that. But going back to being a mom of an NB, my kid sees what's going on, and also it's reflected back through classmates who maybe have parents who are more right-leaning, and you know,
how is that? Do they run into a lot of that?
They're bullied by boys a lot of the time, and it's the same stuff that I dealt with growing up, like, you know, just, am I allowed to curse? Yeah, just like, you know, little middle school boys being like bitch or like fuck you or like, you know, whatever. There are a couple of kids who in the beginning of the school year were asking Hero's friends, that's my oldest kid's name, what Hero's genitalia looked like.
Oh, God.
And luckily my kids' friends are fucking funny and we're like, that is the weirdest question. What are you doing? Aren't you embarrassed? Right? And so that was good, because it's like, yeah, no, that's super weird. Don't do that.
They have their little army.
Yeah, they have their little group of friends that are queer also, or just allies. They're all queer. And it's nice. I'm happy that they have that. I think it's super important, especially because they're so young. So like the queer adolescent stuff is not, doesn't have space really in Philly for super young kids.
Yeah.
But the Attic Youth Center in Philly is like a great resource for LGBTQ youth. But a lot of their things that they have are for 13 and up, right? So we're
almost
so close. There. So it is nice that Hero has this like queer group of friends and a place to be themselves and not just not dealing with like hateful stuff, and also not in a situation where they feel they have to educate constantly, because it's not Hero's job to educate anybody.
No. So. It's so great that they have you as a mom who gives them a safe space to really be who they are.
Yeah.
And explore who they are.
I've been openly pansexual to my kids from the gate, you know. So they always were surrounded by people of all walks of life.
Gayness.
Gay. Around the gays.
Gay. Speaking of people we're attracted to, let's talk about people we're attracted to.
I'm here for it. Oh boy.
We talk a lot about our proclivities in our desires for the types of humans that we're attracted to.
Correct.
Tell me about what ugly hot means to you, and what. You know, we don't want to offend anyone, because everyone that we're talking about is going to see this podcast eventually. So please don't take offense to the linguistics that we're using here.
Certainly don't. Don't.
It's all out of 100% love.
We
Nothing
love you.
wrong with it.
You're attractive.
You're
is what
so
we're trying to
attractive.
say. Ugly hot to me is someone who is not conventionally attractive, right? Doesn't look like a Barbie or a Ken doll.
Yeah.
But
Doesn't
they've
really do
got-
anything for me.
No. I mean, I can look at someone who's objectively beautiful and be like, wow.
Oh, look at those pecs.
Yeah. It's like seeing a sunset. You're not going to be like, that's
Right.
ugly. You know what I mean?
Right. But you don't necessarily want to fuck the sunset.
Right. I've had a crush on Steve Buscemi since I was like 12.
Do you remember the trend on the internet, Steve
Of his
Buscemi
eyes?
eyes
Yes.
being putting on people?
Yes.
I remember a Tumblr that I used to follow,
Yes.
celebrities with Steve Buscemi eyes.
Yes. I have had a crush on him since I saw Ghost World when I was like 12.
What
'Cause
an
I also
iconic
love-
cover art.
Yeah.
Just the two girls.
The like lime green Bob
Is that Scarlett Johansson?
and Thora Birch, who was also a big time crush of mine as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just super cool. I loved that movie. And I had a huge crush on him from then on. He was so cute with his records and he was kind of nerdy. And then he was in Boardwalk Empire and he played like a big shot with the suits and stuff, which I love. Again,
Cillian
Staten
Murphy.
Island, the mob. Like I like people who
Round the Way Boys.
Round the Way Boys.
Ooh, we love
dress
Around the
up.
Way Boy.
We do.
With the accent, makes you feel like home. I got
Yeah.
an Around the Way Boy.
And they'll like put their arm around you or and guide you somewhere and push in your seat and
Ew.
maybe murder someone for roughing you up a little bit,
Call you Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Being
Doll.
called Miss Doll. Sheesh.
Get you every time.
Oof. Miss just really gets me. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very Philly gentleman thing.
It is.
Excuse
You're right.
me, Miss. I love that. So, speaking of your Around the Way boys from Staten Island, you have a bunch. Sal Volcano.
Yeah.
That's a crush.
He's a
That's a
cutie
crush of
patootie.
mine.
What a gentleman.
He's so real.
And he's a gentleman.
Ooh, God.
You know?
See,
My mom
that
would be so
arouses me
proud.
more than anything.
Being a gentleman.
Gentlemanness?
Yes.
Oh, there's nothing more erotic than that.
And the thing about being from, having someone who's from the same place as you is you probably have the same moral code. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so being a gentleman to me means I'm safe.
Mm.
I'm safe with you.
They're not
You
going to
know.
rush you into set. They're not going to pressure you for nothing.
No, they're
They're
gonna feed
honored
you.
by your presence. Yeesh.
They're going to feed you. They're going to feed you well.
Gonna buy you shoes.
Yeah, some jewelry.
Pay for your nails to get done.
Oh my
That's like
God.
the ultimate. Let me go get your nails done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you know, my nails cost like, $30. A guy gives you $200, you pocket the rest. Come on.
Go to Crybaby, babe. Come on, miss.
That's what you got to do.
Go get right. Crybaby
right.
Salon. Oh my goodness. Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson, crowd favorite.
Staten Island Hammer.
The Staten Island Hammer. He's such a cutie. He's younger than me, but I'm sure if I think long enough, I'll know someone who knows him,
Right.
That's how Staten Island is.
Brandon Novak would be a round the way boy for me, kind of.
Yeah.
He's not from Philly. He's from the outskirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Round the way boys. I don't want to say too much because one of them might watch this.
That's true. I'm always careful about Pete because I don't want to piss him off. I've seen him cranky a couple times.
Yeah.
Just when fans are
That's
doing
hot.
dumb shit
Right.
around him and he's like, yo,
That's
which I
hot.
get. I'm like, that makes sense to me. Stop touching him. He
People
doesn't
treat
know
you
yet.
like an alien when you're famous.
Yeah.
I was envisioning that the other day, like being at a cafe and just trying to like enjoy your coffee and
But
having
you're like
people
in a
be like,
fishbowl.
I want to take picture with you. Like, of course that would be like orgasmic as like an early celebrity. And you're like, holy fucking
Yeah.
shit. People are asking me to take a picture with them. But I imagine that eventually it would make you feel like inhuman.
Yeah. And I also think the celebrities who are always super nice to fans, who've been around for a long time. I can't think of anybody but that.
Post Malone.
Yes.
Post Malone is so
Super
good to his
sweet,
fans.
Always
Oh my God. Imagine that he gets like so much expected of you then, because why aren't you being nice to me like you were nice to that Instagram video? Like,
I feel like if I wasn't with my kids, I could be nice to people. But if you're gonna come up to me when my kids are around,
Bjork,
not that I'm ever
Bjork
gonna
time.
yeah, but I'm not. I don't have any aspirations of being famous. I like to hang out with people who want to be famous. I'm a supporter. I'm in the stands. Yeah, exactly.
You're married to one.
I am. That's true. But like, to be fair, no one gives a shit about like Rick Rubin's wife. You know what I'm saying? My husband's a music producer and he loves Rick Rubin.
It's probably a Google search term though.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Obviously, you would, but no one's gonna like follow her around or stop her on the street.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of what I want.
So you get the best of both worlds.
Yes.
Chilling out, take it slow, and then you rock out the show.
That's right.
Right. I love talking about this because I'm going through a period of brahmacharya. Have you ever heard this term?
Tell me.
So in the Hindu, I learned about it in yoga teacher training.
Ooh.
And it's been something that has carried through. So in the Hindu hierarchy of gods, Brahma is the highest. Brahma is like their capital G-O-D. And brahmacharya is conduct that brings you closer to God.
Okay.
So like right living, sexual chastity, not of like moral chastity, but like just like purity and keeping shit right. So like I get soups horny when I'm practicing brahmacharya because it's like I'm not expending my sexual energy. So hot tip, if you want to have like super powerful sexual energy and manifesting power, really, because if you're expending your sexual energy, you're expending your creative energy.
That's very true. Sex magic,
baby. Blood sugar, baby. Ooh, I love him. Speaking of ugly hot, Flea, hello.
I love him so much.
I love a good fucked up teeth.
Yeah.
Fucked up teeth really gets me going.
Yeah, I like that. I like strange features. Steve Buscemi has like those like bass fish eyes. So does Pete. Pete Davidson has it too. Very similar.
Yeah. You know when I thought Pete was the hottest? When? There's this special, or at least clips of a special out there from years ago, like when he still had like brown hair, and he's wearing a FDNY shirt. I'm like, yo, the FDNY shirt really seals it
for
me.
You?
His dad.
I know. His dad passed away in 9/11. I was actually watching something where that was brought up, and I was thinking about that because I was in 7th grade, and I guess he must have been in what, like 5th grade, 4th grade, elementary school when his dad passed away. And my husband's from Philly, but I'm from Staten Island, so I was deeply affected by 9/11, and I was in school with kids who lost their parents that day, right? So he's like, my husband was like, we were on a school trip, but we had to come home, and I was like, yeah, we didn't know what was going on. They intentionally just put us all in the gym, and then our parents came and picked us up. They weren't saying anything because a lot of our parents worked in the World Trade Center. My mom worked on Wall Street, and her best friend was late to work that day, worked in the World Trade Center. Jesus. And they watched it happen from the ferry. So my mom was on like Xanax for years. She couldn't handle planes going over her head.
Oh my God, I bet.
Yeah. It was horrible. I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't lose my parents, But yeah, it was horrible. And yeah, so his dad was a firefighter and he passed away. Also, Steve Buscemi went back to his old ladder and helped with the cleanup because he used to be a firefighter in the FDNY. I'm serious.
That makes him a million times hotter.
Yeah, I know. He's
like Brian Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Sheesh. Shout out to Brian Quinn, Steve Buscemi.
Friend of the show, Brian Quinn.
Joe Gatto. James Murphy.
So good.
Them Bulls. Wow.
But listen, I found out something.
Tell us.
Statistics, right? At the fire department, cheaters. Biggest cheaters ever. Firefighters.
Really?
I know. Yeah.
That sucks. Well, because they just got
Because they got
they
it
got
like
sliz
that.
on the jizz. You know what I mean? They got options.
Yep.
I treat firefighters like celebrities.
They
I
are.
talk to them like, excuse me, can I just ask you something?
Yeah.
Can I?
See, but in Staten Island, when they drive by, sometimes they'll whistle at you. You know,
I might not mind.
I don't mind. That's the only.
I
catcalling
might
I'll
not
allow
mind
it. I
getting
said I'll
catcalled
allow
by
it.
a.
And I do like when
FDNY.
they take the fire truck to go food shopping. It's
Wouldn't
a thing
you?
in Staten Island. That's a thing in
Like,
Staten Island.
if you spent most of your fucking time running into burning buildings, like, wouldn't you want
Firefighters.
everyone to know that about you?
Yeah, and also firefighters they sleep overnight, right? They live at the ladder. Some of the best cooks are firefighters. My recipe for the bomb, this is a meatloaf that's wrapped in bacon with cheddar cheese inside. So when you bake it and you cut it open, melty cheese
This shit.
is from a firefighter.
It's just a tube of goodness.
It's so good.
Just like a lump of magic.
It's a heart attack waiting to happen.
Wow, so many thoughts just flooded in my mind. Yeah, I got firefighter blood.
Mm-hmm.
I got shout out to Robert Fisher and Kris Fisher of the Philadelphia Fire Department. Very respect. I mean, you could go to any firehouse in Philadelphia and say those names,
Why
and
don't
they'd
you
be like,
use that to your advantage is what I'm saying.
I will. Shush. Yo, sending out some vibes. I was having like a crisis
Okay.
about the EMT training that I was about to do.
Yeah. It's heavy
Which
stuff.
is just insane to think about.
Such heavy stuff.
That was like a hill that I was walking up for a long time. I was having this crisis biking to my hosting job, and I saw an ambulance in the middle of like JFK. And there was this EMT with these muscles, and he was thick buff, the way I like it.
Thick daddies.
He was thick buff, and he had a mullet, and he had a daddy stash.
Unbelievable.
The combination
Unbelievable. How
was...
you didn't just jump off your bike right there, I don't know.
Oh, ow, ow. Jeez.
I pulled the muscle right here. You can just check it out. Yes.
I've been thinking about that dude for a long time. So
Mullet
Philadelphia
daddy.
EMT, and he was tatted
Philadelphia EMTs, mullet, brunette,
up. Yeah,
brunette, porn
thick
stash.
porn stash.
Porn-
I'm such a sucker for the porn stash, dude.
Yeah.
The Daniel
Thickums
Day-Lewis,
too. He was thickums.
thickums. Thick
I like a meaty
buffums.
daddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like it like legs. You know.
Like a Jason Kelsey.
Yeah. And then
Sheesh.
my taste in feminine people is just anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody can get it, but with men, I'm very selective.
I've been thinking about that conversation that we had where like you said this beautiful thing where you're like, I get attracted, I see people's eyes, I see people's hair, I feel their energy. I was just like, I like lesbians with long hair. Like, my attraction to
like
women
'em-
is purely,
Yeah, but you like them a little masculine
I'm attracted to masculinity as a thing.
as a thing, and I not so much.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a
That's
little
where
wary
we
of it.
diverge.
Yeah, I like, I'm femme for femme.
Right.
You know, but listen, everybody, it's nobody.
I'm kind
is
of
just
mask
one
for
thing.
mask.
You are. You're feminine though. You got the pink and the,
But I definitely come off very masculine.
So do I.
Naturally.
I always have.
Yeah.
Also Norwegian. I've just been bigger than everybody else in Staten Island. Tiny little Puerto Rican and Italian girls were my best friends.
Right,
And
right.
I was just like this tall.
Da.
Hello.
Would you like a massage?
Yes, exactly.
Kris is also a massage therapist.
I am.
So lots of services that can be.
I have a tool belt
Rendered.
of things,
Yeah. Reincarnation. Do you believe in it? What's your idea about that? Death, reincarnation.
I believe that, I guess I do believe in reincarnation. So I believe that family members, those souls, are connected in each lifetime, right? So like, your kids and your parents, like there's connections there, right? We all kind of follow each other around for whatever reason. I do believe that your kids pick you to be their parent in this lifetime.
So when their souls are like floating around in the ether, they're like, whoop, that egg is about to be fertilized.
That's me.
Yeah.
You know? I believe that your soul picks your life to learn certain things, right? Which helps me with all of the trauma to be like, well, these are lessons. And also all the lessons that I've learned have made me very qualified to help people in some of the darkest times in their life, right? So yes, I do believe in reincarnation.
That's PMA right there.
Yeah, but I'm not an optimist.
Kris said I have PMA. I have it actually tattooed on my head.
Literally.
And
I'm an Eeyore.
yeah, she's an Eeyore.
I have clinical depression.
Crybaby. Tell me about that. Well, tell me about a little bit about your ideas of reincarnation and death, and then we'll wrap it up with
Mental health.
And
You got
all
it.
that.
Well, so I believe that when you die, a piece of you sticks around for the people that love you, right? So
you create these bonds
that are
unbreakable in your physical incarnation.
Right. Because my parents both passed away, and they come and show up all the time as birds, which is like, you know, I've seen a lot of comedians make the joke that like everybody's mom calls their kids and is like, you'll never guess what I saw. I saw a cardinal. It's your Grandpa Joey, you know, whatever. Which is me. That's my mom. My mom's a cardinal, and my dad is a hawk, and it's eerie. Now, I don't know if I'm just noticing these things because I'm upset or I'm going through something, but every time that I'm going through something really heavy, a cardinal makes itself obnoxiously obvious to me, you know?
I don't think you should doubt that.
No, I don't. I choose to believe it. Whatever. It's real if you believe it is.
I think about that a lot, where it's like, most of my mind is wide open, but there's that little, like, you know, nagging voice sometimes that's like, come on.
Yeah.
Tarot, like, but then the whole rest of my mind is like, no, like, this is spooky, accurate. And it's like, why, if there's a choice to not believe it and there's a choice to believe it, why choose not to believe it? Or why, you know? Why not? If there is, like, either God is or God isn't, right?
Right.
So why not God is?
True.
Magic is or magic isn't. So why not magic is?
Right.
Why not live that way?
I just said that to my oldest last night. I forget what we were talking about. Something about witchcraft. And Hero was defending their craft. And I said, it's real if you believe it is. And that's it. You know? So, like, if you get hexed by a witch, if you don't believe in it, it's not going to affect you, right?
All is of the mind. You are what you think. So, like, it goes back to PMA, mental health.
That's true. Mental health. So, yes, I have depression.
Yeah.
I am depression.
I am depression.
I am depression. I have anxiety, clinical diagnosed anxiety disorder. I am in recovery.
Yeah,
I am
you are.
sober. 9 years.
You are so bad. Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Somebody shared it with me when I was in a Pacific group. When I was in the good old cult of Pacific group. I wear that with pride, though. Every time I draw it, I'm like, yeah, it's part of Pacific group. It's like saying I survived Heaven's Gate. Like, I'm the one who
They're all
didn't drink.
really sad.
Yeah.
The people who stuck around are really sad.
Nothing but love for the members of Pacific Group, though. Like, I still like, there's some of my fucking homies. I love those people, but it's a cult of personality. Like, let's call it what it is.
Sure.
But what was I saying? Mental health.
When you were a part of Pacific Group, I said, I am so bare. You said,
oh,
the
fucking
video.
somebody. Okay, thank you. Somebody shared with me this video of some Australian dudes, and they're like waking up in the house together, and he's like, man, I got sober last night. Oh, man, I feel so good this morning. I got sober.
I love that.
It's like, It's very funny. Instead of saying like so drunk, I got so drunk. So bad.
That is one of the best things about not being a drunk anymore is no hangovers.
I had a drinking dream last night.
You did?
And it was very real because I was like, oh my God, almost 5 years I went without drink. Holy fucking shit. And I'm going to be hungover tomorrow. And I woke up and I was like, oh, thank God.
See, when I have drunk dreams, the first thing I say when I wake up is, thank you for reminding me what I am. Because that's the lizard brain that lives in my head. Doesn't matter how long I haven't had a drink. It only takes one. And I'm right back to where I left off.
If you have anything to share with folks who might be struggling in early recovery or struggling with mental health issues, what would you say? For
my little newly sober babies out there, my newly sober babes, listen, go easy on yourself, okay? You are like a newborn. You are experiencing the world sober and lucidly for the first time in probably a long time. And feelings are going to feel more intense. That's the way it is. For me, what worked for me was the 12-step program. And a part of that is going to meetings. And that's super cool because that kind of gave me a way to frame my days, right? On Mondays, I go to this one. So before that, I'm going to go to work and then I'm going to, whatever. And then I'm going to go to this thing at night. And it's okay if you can't sleep. It's okay if you want to sleep all the time. Naps are good.
It's okay if you get into that Ben & Jerry's.
Eat all the ice cream you want.
Eat all the fucking ice cream. Take a bath, man. Be nice to yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
You're doing something miraculous.
Yeah.
You're literally doing something miraculous.
Yeah. It's like a second chance. And also just surround yourself with people who support you in what you're doing. Maybe surround yourself with people who've been sober for a while, who know the ropes, who have lives that look like something you might be interested in, and hang out with those people. Ask them for coffee. We love going to coffee. Oh my gosh. I love going to coffee. Yeah. And with mental health, I don't know. I have had depression since I was like 12 or 13, and I struggle with suicidal ideations. And I lived with it unmedicated until this past year. I had postpartum depression, and I had postpartum depression with each of my kids. But this last one, I don't know, it didn't get better. It got worse. And I got on medication this time around, and it's helped. So medication's always an option. I was super against it for whatever reason, not for other people, but for me. I was like, I don't want to go on medication. I don't want to be on anything every day. I'm like sober. I kind of like just like, whatever.
Raw dogging it.
Yeah, but I couldn't. I got to the point where I needed some extra help, and so I got it, and it has helped a lot. Like night and day. Couldn't leave the house, had really bad anxiety, super worried about all my kids, super like social anxiety, big time, crying all the time, hated myself, thought I was a terrible parent. And so going on medication kind of freed up and broke apart that like loop, the thought loop, the same concerns every day, the anxiety. And that really helped. Also going to talk therapy has helped me a lot. And also accepting that like having depression and maybe not being like a high vibes person is okay. We need Eeyores, man. We need Eeyores. And I'm an Eeyore. And that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You could be spiritual or, alternative. I'm a witch. It's okay to be an Eeyore. It doesn't mean that I'm a negative person. It just means that I'm not super high vibes. That's okay.
That's living your truth.
Yeah, that's all right. We need everybody here. We need all different kinds of people. And that's all right. and that's good. Just get some help if you need it. And
Don't be afraid to
ask for help.
Yeah.
I think we're all hyper independent in our culture in America, and we don't have a need for community, and I think community is really important for the human experience for everybody, not just people who struggle with addiction or mental health. I think everybody needs community. So just being a part of a community and allowing yourself to believe that you deserve to be a part of a community.
Yeah.
And that you have something to offer, because everybody does.
Get in those meetings and share. Open your mouth even when it's uncomfortable. That's something that I've struggled with a lot, like feeling like my voice deserves to be heard in this room.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be poetry.
Oh my gosh, no.
Like it doesn't have to
I
be.
used to just literally like raise my hand and then they'd call me and then I would just start crying.
Yeah.
Yep. For my first 90 days especially, I would just cry.
Yeah.
And it's great. And I love when people are just authentically themselves and just share where they're at, It
doesn't have to be all old heads raising their hand and sharing knowledge, which is also necessary.
It's all part of it.
It's also a part of it.
But,
Sometimes you just got to be a mess.
I'm not an old head, but I'm someone who has a couple of years.
You're getting there.
By the grace of God. And I'll share. I'll be real about if I'm having a hard time. I really don't think that having a ton of time sober makes you better, or that you have to pretend you have it all together. We're all there for a reason. I don't believe that I'm ever going to beat my addiction. I have a program that I follow that helps me stay sober one day at a time.
We all have today. So go out and make today a great day or a bad day.
Or nap.
Or take a nap. Eat some fish food.
Yes.
This episode is not brought to you by BetterHelp.
No.
Nor Ben & Jerry's, but
Ben & Jerry's.
Go get some Ben & Jerry's.
Yes.
Fish food.
And also I'm a big fan of their peanut butter cup.
Cherry Garcia.
And my dad's favorite.
Core. What about the ones with Chunky Monkey?
It's like banana. It's a banana ice cream, and it has walnuts and dark chocolate in it.
Fuck.
A scoop of that and a scoop of Cherry Garcia.
Get in the bathtub and just be proud of yourself.
Yeah. You can just replay this over and over again. You are doing so well. I'm so proud of you. I love you so much. You're doing a great job. You are doing so well. I'm so proud of you. I love you so much. You're doing a great job.